So Moon Knight, yeah, yeah, I've loved this show from the start, and I thought that it was pretty different from the other shows, and it was unique in the sense that it was taking place in Egypt, and it was the performances were good, played by Oscar Isaac and Oscar Isaac and Oscar Isaac, and I'm not remembering the name of the actress who plays this character you have on screen. Apologies, but she was really, really good in the show. And also, Ethan Hawke was great. So the storyline was pretty intense in certain parts, and it was funny. It was adventurous, and the finale. We know that the Disney Plus shows have a history of having questionable finales, not the best ones. So it kind of was with this one as well. I felt like it was kind of um, underwhelming based on what the previous episodes were, because those were really, really good. Especially episode 5 was one of the best episodes in any of the MCU, shows and movies. So it was pretty high bar. So I can understand that the finale would go into that third act battle and stuff like that. Which was cool to see, but I felt like it was short, very short. And I think the episode even was shorter than the previous episodes, right?
Yeah, I think that one was, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I felt that, and it was quickly just jumping from one scene to another, and it didn't get the breathing room to resolve everything that was set up in the rest of the show. So for that part, I was kind of underwhelmed, but overall, I did enjoy it, especially because there was some really cool stuff happening in the background and in with the action and stuff like that. But also very cheesy stuff was also happening, so it was kind of a balanced out thing. But overall, I really, really enjoyed the show. I think it's probably up there with Loki and WandaVision for me. And I'm not sure how to rank it overall, but yeah, it's definitely up there for me. I definitely liked it better than Falcon and Winter Soldier. I've never seen Hawkeye. WandaVision I really liked, but again, the finale of that show was also questionable. So I would put this, up there with those two, Loki and WandaVision. Loki is still my favorite one.
Yeah, I still like my high bar is still the Falcon and the Winter Soldier because I think that was the first one for me to kind of take a little bit more risks in terms of the TV side of things. One Division was a risk, of course, with the TV sitcom element to it, but I think near the end it went back to the MCU trope, the Ralph Warner stuff. We didn't really like that at all, and I thought it was bad. So, and the finale of that wasn't that good. But then when the Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out, this was a show that I didn't wasn't too excited for either. The trailers didn't really do anything for me. But once you kind of get into the first few episodes, and it's actually about race and about Anthony Mackie's character dealing with, yeah, he's the new Captain America because Captain America gave him the shield and said, "You're the new Captain America." But just because Steve Rogers said, doesn't mean it was actually true. Society had to take him on board as a new Captain America from a race point of view, and even the government as well, which is ridiculous, but it happens, of course, throughout history and stuff like that. And I liked how that was actually tackled in the show. I wasn't expecting to see that, so that's why it's my kind of still my favorite of them all. Even though I enjoyed Loki, Hawkeye was missable. I think
Yeah.
probably agree with that. It wasn't that great. Um, but yeah, and then I like What If was a lot of fun. Some episodes here and there, and then Moon Knight came around, and we're excited for Moon Knight because it's an interesting character. He's described as maybe the Marvel Batman. Then you're thinking, will Marvel really do the Marvel Batman? Ethan Hawke's attached to it, Oscar Isaac. So it's obviously got a great cast involved. And Oscar Isaac, he's had a bad run of things in terms of IP movies with Star Wars and also maybe X-Men Apocalypse, even though I like that movie, the franchise didn't really, didn't last that long. And I think by the end of Star Wars, he wasn't too interested in it anymore. So, but like when he takes on a Marvel project, we heard that he only signed on for a season or he didn't sign a big deal. And the same with Ethan Hawke. And I actually found that very interesting that they would do this because they wanted to sign on. Maybe the script was good, so it was good because we watched the series. But then you could end this season at season one, and Ethan Hawke, he basically killed his character off, and I loved the ending to that. So Ethan Hawke had his run in it. They didn't want to make it into a bigger thing. But Moon Knight was very different because I think there's 6 episodes altogether. So the first 2 episodes are very different from 3 and 4, and then 3 and 4 are very different from 5 and 6. And I think each kind of chapter of this season has tackled kind of different genres, different moods, different tones at times, and I really enjoyed it. I will say some of the VFX for me wasn't that great, and I expected to be near perfect for these million dollar shows and movies, and the MCU still hasn't really crafted that element to it. Maybe because they give their VFX team so short time to finish these projects. I don't know why, but there was some shots that didn't look that good, especially in episode 1. And then the action sequences. I thought some of the best action in the show was the hand-to-hand combat between Moon Knight and some of the bad guys and stuff like that. I thought that was really good, but we didn't really get enough of that, and that's what I kind of wanted more. Also, at times, his suit looked very animated in CGI. When they did use natural shots of his suit, it looked way better when he was running and stuff like that. I liked it. But yeah, episode 5, you said as well, it's probably one of the best pieces of Marvel content from the MCU that we've ever gotten. And that scene was that entire thing was unbelievable to see, the origin of Mark Steven and what he went through. And Marvel actually showed us. They basically told us that this guy had a bad upbringing, and this sadness led to him having these multiple personalities. And I was very surprised at that. And Oscar Isaac's acting as Mark and Steven was fantastic. And people were saying he might be nominated for some awards for this. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because they have put it into the limited category. And the limited category is only for shows that are limited series, so a season 1. But Big Little Lies, I don't know if you've ever seen that show. That started as a limited series and was nominated for all those awards. Might have won some as well, but then they still went ahead with a season 2. So I think Moon Knight will return. I'm not too sure if they'll do a season 2. I hope they do, because the character is so interesting, so different, and so unique from any comic book movie. There's no other character out there that has multiple personalities like this in live action that we've seen so far. And at the end, to see Jake Lockley as this third identity that's within Mark and Steven was just, it felt like a scene out of a Martin Scorsese movie in the post-credits scene where he turns around and just shoots Ethan Hawke's character. I was surprised, but I loved it. And we've talked about the finale kind of syndrome that Marvel has with their shows. And maybe the strongest finale was maybe Loki. Would you agree with that? Loki was maybe the strongest finale prior to this? Yeah. So, but going into this one, I was actually afraid. I was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, and Moon Knight didn't show up for the first 15 minutes of this episode, the last episode. And I was like, I'm not too sure. I think they're going to do it again. They're not going to nail it. And then it kind of ramps up. There's a lot of action. There's a lot going on. Layla gets her powers, and the suit is fantastic. And it for me, the middle of the episode and the closing of the episode, it closed strong, and then the post-credit scene. So I think they did nail the finale. It's probably maybe that and Loki between them to see what's the best. I'm not too sure. But I want to see more of this character. I want to see Oscar Isaac return. Ethan Hawke is dead, and I like that he's kind of dead, because he gave a great performance for the 6 episodes. But yeah, and Layla's suit, they did Wonder Woman 84 suit better than Wonder Woman 84. But
and even the action.
I loved it. Yeah, the action in the finale was probably the best. Now that was really good.
Yeah, I really liked it, and even the score that was playing when she was when she showed up and when she was fighting and stuff like that. So it kind of did feel like the director of this episode was like, Patty Jenkins, I'm gonna show you how to do Wonder Woman 84 properly.
And there's few moments in Wonder Woman 84, even though I like the movie, there is some cringe moments in it. And I thought if you were to explain the scene where Layla kind of saves the little girl, and the little girl says, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" If you'd like describe that to me without me seeing the episode, I would have thought that's cringe. How did that? Like, that's something that's very cringy. But it actually happened in the episode, and it worked. It actually wasn't cringe.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's such a great thing, because little girls might watch this stuff. People from Egypt. This is great representation, and it's great to have a character. I'd love to have an Irish superhero. I'd love that. Even though Barry Keoghan is playing the Joker, he's an Irish Joker. But I would love to see somebody like an Irish superhero. What would an Irish superhero be like? Stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. And it wasn't done in a cringe way, or it wasn't done in a women are powerful thing, like where I've rolled my eyes in the past when they've done this. Even in the MCU, especially the shot in Endgame, where all the women are they happen to be in the same position for this money shot, when it didn't make sense from what was happening. But here it was done naturally, and I liked it, and she was a badass as well. And her and Moon Knight fighting was cool. So I'd love to see her return as well. Layla was such a good character as well.
Yeah, I would definitely watch more Moon Knight if they returned. I'm not sure if they will, but I hope they do because they put so much effort into giving, into making this costume for her, and just one, they used it just for one episode and now it's gone. I don't know how this will, pan out, but maybe they can bring her back in the MCU movies later on, and that's how it will work. But look, I really liked, how this show turned out, and it's one of my favorite things. And Oscar Isaac definitely deserves, like No Man says here, Oscar deserves an Oscar for this. It's a TV show, but yes, I would agree with that. He nailed, especially in episode 5, they really nailed every single thing, from the performances to the story to everything else. I really enjoyed that.
I think I have a theory about like
How they'll bring it back.
Oscar Isaac. Yeah, no. I mean, like Oscar Isaac, as a business standpoint, why he didn't sign like a 7 picture deal for Marvel, because we've heard that he only may sign for a season. We don't, a season 2 isn't even guaranteed. I think he was looking at his role in Marvel and X-Men, and he was looking at Star Wars and how those franchises didn't. Well, they worked out, of course. The movies made a lot of money. He made a lot of money, but like the reception of them and things like that, I think he was probably hesitant to go to another franchise like this. So maybe that's why he didn't sign up like a massive deal. He wanted to see how the first season would go, and if it was good and a good experience and received well, then he'd be more open to come back for a season 2 or another outing as Moon Knight. And this guy, Oscar Isaac, must be really rich from Star Wars, from X-Men, now Marvel, because if he doesn't have a contract with Marvel right now, they're going to pay him a lot of big bucks to come back for a season 2 or whatever, because the show was well received and it might get some nominations. And if he does get nominations, them zeros will be added even more. So it wasn't a bad decision at all from him. And Ethan Hawke is more of a, he's more like that clip was floating around again. If you've seen it, him talking about movies, comic book
Yeah.
movies and cinema and stuff like that. I posted that a few years ago as well, and I loved it because he talked about like high art and low art and comic book movies and stuff like that. It's a great clip. Go check it out if you haven't. But he's more like of a theater actor. He's like one of those pros. He's a really, anything he's in, it's going to be fantastic to watch because he's in it. So I think he elevated the show big time. He had his 6 episodes, and then he just eases out of this MCU, and he'll go do something like Black Phone, which will be very
I'm so
interesting to watch,
excited
or
to watch
something.
that.
Yeah, it looks cool. So Ethan Hawke, I think, elevated the show and brought the standard up big time, because if you just had some other random, throwaway actor, no offense, playing this character Ethan Hawke played, it might have been just kind of not as well looked at. So I think Ethan Hawke, definitely, you sat up and you watched a little bit more because it was Ethan Hawke.